In the 3D AI space, there's a new incredible 3D AI generator that was just released a few days ago. Sparc3D generates next level detailed 3D models from images in seconds. And in today's video, I will show you step by step how you can generate models with Sparc3D and how you can apply them afterwards, detailed textures to them later on in ComfyUI by using a free workflow that you can install on your own PC. By the end of this video, you will have a clear understanding how good the new 3D AI generator really is and how you can create high quality 3D AI models for your own projects. Having said that, let's dive right into it. Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. For the ones who don't know me yet, I'm Philip from PixelArtistry, and I'm really excited about this video today because there was a new 3D AI generator released called Sparc3D, and we are going to have a direct look at it at their project page where we're also starting. So as you can see right now, we have here already some comparisons when we scroll down on this page. I will also of course link it for you down below as always in the video description. And as you can see, we have here some basic comparisons that they did, and what is really cool and fascinating is that the method they are using is here Spark cubes. That's also why it's called Sparc3D, and they learned kind of from Trellis and other 3D AI generators and used their own technique to create such amazing detailed shapes as we can see it here. Alright, and to get then actually started, what we have to do here on the top, once we are here on the page, what we need to do is click here on demo, and then you can try the tool. And actually I have to tell you guys that I'm recording this video already the second time, because when I recorded the video the first time, it just happened that this message popped up just after I recorded the video, like 1 or 2 days afterwards. And it's saying here that the Hugging Face demo that I showed before in the recording that I did is under attack and has been temporarily taken offline for emergency maintenance, and they said that it needs 2 to 3 days until they come back. So I thought I would quickly just re-record the part with the modeling, because they found another solution in the meantime, which is called Hunyuan3D. It's the same model kind of, and you can use it here to actually generate then your 3D models from here with Sparc3D. And I really hope it's coming back to Hugging Face, because there you had at the old point, you had unlimited generation. So I really hope that is coming back. If not, then you can still use it here. So I will show you this method now. Otherwise, you can use the Sparc3D one, but to be honest, it's kind of the same approach. So it's just uploading your image and then generating it. So when you're here on this page, what you need to first is to log in. And you can simply do that over here or here when you want to click generate. I had to register with my Gmail address. The other one was not working. So just keep that in mind to maybe use your Gmail address for this. Otherwise, if you want to generate something, you have here choice between 1024 and 10536. You have 5 generations per day. I only have 4 left at the moment. You can also see here they brought up more examples over here as well in terms of surfaces and stuff like this. It's still uncertain if they will turn in the end in a paid model or if it stays open source or if they release it open source in the end. This you can't tell for now. Looking at their website they just created, I think it's gonna be a paid version at some point, but for now you can use it for free with the generations that you have per day, each day. They might increase it, let's see about this, it's still uncertain, but just for letting you know. Otherwise, if you want to now create something, what you can do is click here on upload image. Then you can go to the image that we just created in Leonardo AI, and what you can do is really straightforward. You just hit generate. While it's uploading, I can show you quickly what I prompted so you can have a direct look what it is. And for this one I used Leonardo AI. I'm not sponsored by them or something, but I tested their AI image tool and I think it was really impressive, especially for 3D AI characters, because we have a lot of variations that we can choose from here. And when we prompt stuff, it was quite coherent, I would say, and consistent, so that was great. And for example here I just prompted this woman, which I also really liked in terms of how it went out with all the detail and stuff. And here I used the prompt like highly detailed female 3D character in a front facing pose, and then I refined it with the AI generator from Leonardo, like the prompt generator. And for this one I used here the lucid realism model, which gave me really great results also for this other stuff here. For the models I will show you in a second. And once it's done then, as you can see, we have done the model, and I think the model quality is really astonishing. And this is the reason I think Sparc3D is so crucial to check out at the moment. They're not delivering textures at the moment, but we will have a look at this in a second, how we can apply textures to the model. But as you can see from surface quality and compared to our reference image that we chose, captured a lot of detail in the shape itself, which is just great. And I think this is such a game changer, at least, you know, from the shape model generation, because the more details we have in the base model, we can then use for greater textures later on. You can then choose also here the format. I will go here with GLB. It will also tell you how much vertices it has, faces, and also this is then saying the voxel resolution kind of where we chose the high one. You can also choose the low one, which then might have lower vertices and faces, but this is okay for now because we will use it anyways in ComfyUI later on. So what you can do then once you have that is clicking here on download, and then it will get directly downloaded to your PC, and you can then go from there and import it into Blender and so on. Once we are here in Blender, I wanted to show you a quick comparison between the different 3D AR model generators and how Sparc3D performs with it. If you want to import a 3D AR model, what you need to do is go to File, Import, and then choose GLB, and then choose your file. I did that here already, and as you can see, we have here on the left our reference images. This is a generation, and I used on all of those three the same input image, which was this one, and the default settings. So for this one, this is with Hunyuan3D 2.5 with Tripo and Sparc3D, and I think we already see a big difference between those three. Of course, we need to test it on different models to have a overall conclusion about it, because Hunyuan3D, for example, is really good in having like hard surface objects and so on. But I think in just this comparison that I did right now, in this quick comparison, I think, as you can see already, Sparc3D is standing out in terms of quality and shape details and stuff like this. So as you can see, I think when we also look at the mode without textures, as you can see in the shape itself, Hunyuan3D is quite blocky, I would say, in their 2.5 version, whereas Sparc3D has this really nice shaping and feels way more organic, I would say. Also, Tripo is kind of a mix between those two, I would say, even though Tripo is more smooth, I think, and doesn't have that defined shapes as, for example, Sparc3D. So I think in conclusion, I would say definitely that Sparc3D is the most outstanding one in the model generation phase, while of course Hunyuan3D and Tripo also has its strength. But also when we look at the proportions, I think it's quite clearly visible how well Sparc3D reads it from this one image. So let's hope really that they go open source in the end, which would be great. But anyways, as you can see, also with textures, I think as we have that much detail on it, it's also picking up the texturing quite nice, which I will show you now in the next step. Alright, so to actually texture our models, we will use ComfyUI to texture our Sparc3D models. And what we need to do is basically, as a pre-requirement, is to have Hunyuan3D installed, because we will use their Hunyuan3D 2.0 painter to then actually generate our models. If you don't have Hunyuan3D installed for your ComfyUI yet, please check out my detailed guide I did in another video, which I will link you right here. And then there will be a step-by-step guide how you can actually install Hunyuan3D locally to your PC. Once you have done that, you can then come back to this video actually and then just run the workflow. So once you have done that, what we need to do is first dragging in the workflow. You will find this workflow down below in one of the links I will put you in the video description, where you can then download it for free and to use it for your own need. It will be called Hunyuan3D Sparc3D PixelArtistry, and what you can do is then simply just drag and drop into your ComfyUI. It might ask you to install some additional nodes, so what you need to do is then go here to the manager, install missing custom nodes over here, and then it will show you under missing all the different nodes that will still be missing. Of course, for me it's not the case anymore because I installed those nodes already, but you just have to check them here, go then to install, and then to restart your ComfyUI. Once you have done that, we can then see over here that everything works so far. Only thing you need to do then still is to install the different models. I always put for you a note here. So as you can see, for example, here I use the Juggernaut XL model. So I directly gave you here a link that you can then just copy and paste and then download the corresponding models, how they're called here. Here the same for the control net, the upscale model that we have over here as well. And for the yeah, and I think that's already it. And these are the main ones you will need for the workflow. So once you have installed them and then also put them in the corresponding folders, I also put it always here in the, for example, in the checkpoint folder. To access them, only thing you need to do is go to your ComfyUI folder, for example, this one here, then ComfyUI, and then you go to your models folder, and then you will find all those folders here, and then you just have to put them in the corresponding fonts. For example, here the control net, you would then navigate to control net and then put it in here. Once you have done that, you just need to refresh ComfyUI one more time, and then you can just simply select them over here, the corresponding model, and then it should work for you. What you need to do then is, of course, to upload first our image. So we will do that quickly by going here to the load image in this group that I created over here. So just go here to upload. Then I can choose here my image, which I have, which is this one, in this case, what we also used before, and where we generated our model in Sparc3D already. What you need to do then is go as a next step to the Hunyuan3D load mesh, because here we will then actually load in our Sparc3D mesh. And we can do that by going to our download folder, where we downloaded our file. So I think it was this one, which I didn't rename it yet. So let's rename it quickly by saying something like Warrior 3D female char, maybe char, something like this. And then what we can do is simply click right click, copy as path, going in here, then going here to the text field, selecting everything, and then getting rid of the double quotes that we have here, and then hitting OK once we have that. And then you will see it recognizes the new path, and this is basically already the main step that we need to do. And once you load it in, the Hunyuan3D load mesh here, the mesh itself and the image, what you can do then already is running our first workflow. And we can do that now by simply hitting here run. And then it will already start the workflow by this node here, where we'll then first reduce our face number that we had right now, because the Sparc3D model is quite high poly. So first we will reduce it to 300,000 faces so that it's not that high poly anymore. And the Hunyuan3D mesh rewrap is not taking ages, because otherwise this will take a very long time. So definitely make sure to run it through this post process that we have over here. I also created here the preview 3D node and an export mesh node, because when we want to reuse it, for example, in another workflow, we then already have a model called mesh UVs, where we then have the Sparc3D model reduced and we have it with UVs. So we don't need to redo the step every time. By the way, for the best results, I chose here 1024 as my render size, and also put it here as the reference image size, because this gave me the best results so far. So definitely make sure to stick with something like this. In case you have not that much of memory on your GPU, you can also, for example, of course, decrease it to 512, or even increase it to 2048, but most of the time 1024 is okay, or 768 is also working. By the way guys, one thing I'm really excited about is that we are launching the PixelArtistry Discord server. This Discord server is meant for our 3D AR community to discuss any installation issues you might have, that we have a dedicated space for that in case you need help or want to help other people in our community, that we really have a dedicated place for our community to share thoughts about the latest 3D AR tools, for example, and also to tackle any issues that we might have or counter. I'm really excited about this, and I'm really looking forward to meet you all on the Discord. You will find a link down below in the video description where you can directly sign up for free for my Discord, and you will get sent per mail a dedicated Discord invite link to join the Discord. I'm really looking forward to meet you there, and actually, having said that, let's continue with the video. Okay, great. And once the workflow is done, as you can see, we have here our final result. And I think it did a pretty well job, you know, in terms of texturing. Like we have all those different facets now, and I will show you now the different steps it took in the workflow to create those texture, which I think is pretty cool. And then I will also show you how you can import it into Blender and also show you some other models I did doing this workflow. So as you can see, it first, like with the original Hunyuan3D workflow, when you have checked this out before, it first generates here the normal and position passes that we need with the Hunyuan3D render multi-view, and afterwards it then goes into the Hunyuan3D sample multi-view, where we take the normal and position maps and as well the reference image, which we have here on the top, and then it applies the first textures on it. And as you can see, this is then the original textures that gets applied on our model. And once we have that here, we will then take it into the upscaling mode. And this is also really cool, I have to say, because here we're using the Ultimate SD upscale mode. And then this will help us to upscale all these images that we see here from every perspective even more and give it even more detail. And we can see this because here the Juggernaut XL and the upscale model over here is then piping into the Ultimate SD upscale, and here we have then a nice comparison what it's doing actually. And as you can see, it's adding then even more detail to it, and we get a cleaner result because of it. With an A/B comparison, we can also change that here by going to another mode, and as you can see, it's going then here as well. As you can see, obviously here the upscaler is also taking a bit of detail away by denoising it. So if you don't want to have that it's still keeping more of this rust breakup that we have kind of here, you can also always, of course, feel free to play around with the denoise value that we have over here and also the step size. Of course, when you increase the step size, for example, then it will take a bit longer, but you also get greater quality by it. And you can also use an additional Ultimate SD upscale over here if you want to do that, and then it will upscale the images even more, and you get even more detail with it. Once you have done that, it will then create here all those texture maps and bake the textures onto it for the multi-view, the vertice in paint texture, and then it will also go in here and create a normal map for us. It will then save it under the name normal map, but it will be automatically plugged into Blender for you. So this is what I will show you now in a second, and as you can see, we then have here our final model. One thing you could try out is as well, what I still put in here is the D-Light mode, which I disabled for now, but what you can do if you want to try it, it doesn't work in each case, so I turned it off by default, but what you can do is that you enable them by going here to unbypass, and what you can do then is that I put in here an image blend. Here also huge shout out to Mick Mumpels, where I saw this method that he blended the D-Light model and the normal one together in Hunyuan3D. So what you can do then is simply going here and plugging this image blend then into the ref image mode, and then you could regenerate, and then it would give you here a D-Light model approach as well, and then it will blend both modes together, so you get more of an albedo texture then in the end. Of course, you can also always try to D-Light this image more, that you get less shadow over here, for example in Photoshop or some other approaches. Okay, great, and now to import our model into Blender, actually what we can do is go here to File, Import GLB. And what we can do then is that we go to our ComfyUI output folder. I will do that quickly by navigating here. By the way, I'm always using here the ComfyUI Windows Portable version, which works great with the Hunyuan3D wrapper. So what you can do then is that you go here and go then to ComfyUI, then to Output, then to 3D. And then you will find your 3D model over here. So we can simply copy this path here, going to the Blender file view again, and then we can go here and say simply hitting here double click. It will be called Hunyuan3D, but actually it's Sparc3D, but I would also change that for the final, but I will also adjust that for you before providing you the workflow, that I will change it here maybe to Sparc3D then. As you can see, we imported now now the model, and what we can do then is see if our texture works. So what we can do then is pressing Z or going here to the texture mode, and as you can see we have our texture on it, which is pretty cool. We can then also go here, hit shade smooth to get a better preview. Of course it's not perfect, it has the current limitations because of the UVs, but if you want to refine your models you can do that with the approaches I showed in my latest videos, so I will also link that to you right here. So once you have done that here, what we can do then as well is simply check out our normal texture. So we can go here to timeline, then to shader editor, and as you can see here we have here our base color, which I just plugged in, which is plugged in per default, and we have here our normal map. When I go here and decrease the normal map, as you can see something is also changing in her face, for example, and the other modes, so we can control kind of the strength here, but I think it adds great detail, for example here in the normal map itself, to really adjust that. Just to show you some more models I created with this approach. As you can see, for example, here I created this kind of soldier guy who could come out maybe out of the, I don't know, maybe Star Wars universe or something like this. I have no idea, but actually I think it worked also pretty well. Also shape-wise, as you can see, Sparc3D is doing such an amazing job reading the shape itself, and we have here also the whole body and not just like with the approach I showed you before with the model just her upper body. So I think this is cool, and Sparc3D is also able to create like full body textures, which I think is pretty nice. So as you can see, what also stood out for me in terms of 3D model quality is that Sparc3D is quite good at creating hands. So you will also see this in the next example I prompted. So here, for example, it's our old model, and we have here also our orc creature that I prompted. And as you can see here, also the works with their hands is really well done. So this is something that is way better than, for example, in Hunyuan3D at the moment, and what I didn't experience that much before. And yeah, I think here it also did overall a pretty good job. Of course, here we have double nipples, so we might need to remove that then in the texture painting phase, for example, in Blender, but this is an easy fix, and it's rather coming from the texture than from the model itself. But I think overall you can see that we get some really nice results with this approach. So I'm really looking forward what you will create with this approach and this texture workflow. Let me know how it goes for you in case you encounter any issues. Just make sure that you follow the guide I linked you down below to install the Hunyuan3D wrapper, and then most of the workflow should already work by default. So I really hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know, as always, if you have liked the video. Please make sure to subscribe to my newsletter and to my channel in case you want to support me. And